gifted kids who outsmarted the system. This Venezuelan boy is a big fan of consoles and video games, but since he doesn't have money to buy one, he decided to make one with his own hands. He made it out of paper and cardboard, recreating the game Super Mario Bros., and honestly, the result is incredible. A girl's mother locked her tablet in a room so she wouldn't use it so much to watch cartoons. But the girl really wanted to watch cartoons, so she figured out a way to open the door using a card. The parents always laughed a little at the boy because he didn't dare to put on his coat properly, but the boy, tired of this, decided to learn how to put it on in a very epic way. I declare myself a total fan of the way this boy opens gifts, and the best part is the look on his grandmother's face at the end. One in a million coincidences. A man was about to get into his car, which was parked outside his house, to go to work. But he realized he had forgotten his wallet, so he went back home for a moment. And it's a good thing he forgot his wallet, because just a few seconds after he left, lightning struck and broke the tree. This reporter is saying that this is the most dangerous road in all of Los Angeles. And he's not wrong, because while they're recording live, two cars get into an accident. A man is in a supermarket carrying several Coca-Colas in his arms, but one of them falls and lands perfectly on the shelf. These guys are playing soccer when one of them kicks the ball really badly, and just as a car is passing by, the ball goes right through the open window. The guys are left without a ball, and the man in the car got quite a scare, but now he has a new ball. The worst ways people have died. Namikego body? A 28-year-old British man vacationing in Thailand decided to go out partying one night. At a nightclub, he met two girls and they spent practically the whole night together. When the place closed, they decided to hang out at one of the girls' apartments. But once there, the man discovered that they were actually ladyboys, so he grabbed his things and left. But the girls started to get very aggressive and argue with him, and on top of that, two more friends arrived who also started arguing with Nami. Together, they cornered him at a window and one pushed him, causing him to fall. Mai Lin, a Chinese teenager, was spending the day at an amusement park. She boarded a ride called Journey in Space, but soon after it began, the safety system failed. The girl held on as long as she could, but after 4 turns, she couldn't anymore. Genius kids who beat the system. I'm not exaggerating, this is one of the most incredible things I've seen in my life. A boy who was born without both arms made this. An invention that helps him eat without anyone's help and that makes him feel more independent. The father told the little boy that he couldn't drink any more soda, that he had already had too much, so he put it on the other side of the table. But even though the boy is still very young, you can tell he's very smart. They put this object on the doorknob, which is used so that children can't open it. But the parents didn't expect that their son had superhuman strength and broke it very easily. During recess, the children spent their time building a big snow wall, blocking the school door. That way, the teachers and the principal couldn't get out and they wouldn't have to go back to class. He'd been playing hide and seek with his niece for over half an hour and couldn't find her, which makes sense. She hid in one of the best ways I've ever seen. Parents who instantly regretted having kids. When the father saw his kids doing this, he couldn't believe it and had to record it. The little ones were eating chips, but every time they grabbed one, they dipped it in the sauce pictured on the package. The man couldn't stop laughing. They were in a swimming race, and as you know, swimmers are very focused to hear the starting whistle. But this boy blew his party horn, and one of the swimmers thought it was the starting whistle and got disqualified. These two little brothers spend all day setting off their father's motorcycle alarm so they can dance to the sound it makes. And one of these times, their father caught them and recorded them. In the garden of a house, there were fake candies as Christmas decorations, but a little girl thought they were real, so she went and took a bite. She walked away because she didn't like it, but on her return, she did exactly the same thing. Photos you'll have to look at twice to understand. Though it seems unbelievable, this isn't a hollow wall. It's an amazing graffiti where the artist created a striking optical illusion. It looks like you could pass through the letters, but they're actually painted inside to create this effect. At first, I thought it was a kitten with painted lips, but then I realized that it's just the red leaf of the plant lining up with its lips. Two possibilities. Either the dog has a very long neck or another identical dog stood on the other side and both put their heads in together. This looks like a pirate ship like in the Peter Pan movie is flying through the skies. But actually it's just an antenna with the lower part covered by fog. And don't worry, this man is not in danger, he's just lying on the street of a tunnel, but thanks to the way the photo was taken, it creates a really amazing optical illusion. One in a million coincidences you have to see to believe. To be honest, it took me several minutes to realize that there are two cats in this photo. This is the hand of a man who had to have half of his finger cut off when he was just 10 years old. And by some huge coincidence in life, his son was born with a finger the same size. A man on the subway saw two gentlemen who looked alike and had the same posture, so he took their picture. But when he showed it to a friend, he realized the other two were also the same. Honestly, this woman's gesture is really rude. The city gets completely flooded and the first thing she thinks about is swimming. With this image, we can confirm 100% that karma exists. The next one is very ironic. In the newspaper, there's a story that says dead from biting her nails, and right next to it, there's a woman who's biting her nails. Videos recorded seconds before the tragedy. This kid had an idea for a prank, to slap a policeman on the head and then quickly escape in his car. But his friend, the driver, braked instead of accelerating. What do you think happened? A guy was dancing with Elastigirl at a party and seemed interested in flirting, unaware someone was watching. Because of things like this, you should never trust anyone, especially not your friends. This man probably went through the most embarrassing moment of his entire life. He reached out his hand to greet a girl who doesn't have arms. A guy went out with his friends and fell asleep, and from what you can see, his friends were really crazy and did this to him. He was looking at photos of other girls on his phone, thinking his girlfriend was focused on hers, but in reality, she was watching him the whole time. The parents of these kids don't know whether to laugh or cry. A boy was so excited on his birthday because Spider-Man had arrived that he forgot he couldn't go through glass. What a hit. A girl had an ice cream in one hand and a frog in the other, and instead of licking the ice cream, she licked the frog. What a face she made. This boy got a really cool miniature Jeep for his birthday, but he didn't care about that. What he really liked was the box. It's the same as when I buy toys for my cats. A little boy told his father he would take a bath by himself. After a while, the father went to check if everything was okay, and there was the boy taking a bath, but inside a bucket. The worst part is when the father takes him out, the boy just wants back in. He was totally calm. Judging by the look on this boy's face at the end, I wouldn't recommend doing this watermelon splitting challenge with rubber bands. Genius kids who beat the system. This girl always wanted to play with her mom's phone, but her mom wouldn't let her. She set up facial recognition so it couldn't be unlocked, but this simple security wasn't an obstacle for the girl. She discovered that if she pointed the phone's front camera at a photo of her mother's face, it would also unlock. This little guy is a big fan of driving simulation games, but he didn't have enough money to buy a steering wheel and pedals to play. So he found a solution. He made the steering wheel and pedals out of cardboard, and they're fully functional. This father told his son that if he could grab the bill without moving or touching the bottle, he could keep it. At first glance, it seems really difficult, but the kid was very clever. He told his father it was impossible, that the bottle was glued to the bill. And while his father was showing him that wasn't the case, he took the opportunity and grabbed the bill. Photos you'll have to look at twice to understand. You can clearly see that this man has a small child on his back because you can see the body, but where is the child's head? I had to look very closely to find it. I found it really funny when I first saw this photo and it looked like the bird was wearing shoes, but it's just the reflection. For a moment, I thought this girl had a pet-like thing, Wednesday's hand, but actually she's just scratching her back, although in a pretty strange way. I swear, throughout this whole video, I thought it was a real car crossing a big river until people showed up at the end and I realized it was a toy car. At first, my mind was blown. Where are this woman's legs? But then I realized she was just sitting on the wall. Don't worry, that man didn't fall off a building. You just have to turn your phone. The strangest ways people have died. Galen Moody, 51, always cared for her 17-year-old granddaughter, Lisa Nicole Johnson. The grandmother saw her granddaughter was too addicted to her phone, so she punished her by taking it away for a few days. But the teenager couldn't last even a few hours without her phone and decided to come up with a plan for revenge. While her grandmother was cooking, she put poison and insecticides in the pot. That night, the grandmother also invited a friend for dinner. After the first bite, the poison acted fast. Their bodies went numb and they staggered out, trying to drive to the hospital but didn't make it. Jason Ferguson, 33 years old, was installing a dishwasher for his in-laws, but his wedding ring came into contact with something and electrocuted him. While his family prepared dinner, they noticed he wasn't responding. Emergency services were called, but sadly, nothing could be done. Genius kids who beat the system. A kidnapper was paying close attention to this girl entering the building so he could trap and kidnap her once she was inside. But she was very smart. While the man was holding the door, she slipped under his arm to throw him off, and when she saw that the kidnapper had moved away from the stairs, she quickly ran up them. She managed to knock on a neighbor's door, who quickly opened it and went after the man. In an Asian school, they teach their students an incredible math technique. With it, they can do calculations very quickly and without making mistakes. None of them make mistakes and they always calculate the final result correctly. This little girl, only 3 years old, learned to drive to help her father with the work on his farm. Her father tells her where to go and she drives. Honestly, she drives better than many people I know. But I have a question. How does she reach the pedals? These kids' parents don't know whether to laugh or cry. A father was recording his son playing virtual reality for the first time, and the boy took the opportunity to do something that left his father speechless. This baby was going a bit too far with the cat, giving it a few kicks and also some hits on the head. But the cat showed him who's boss in the house and did exactly the same thing to him. Now he'll be respected. A mother was recording her son practicing his baseball swing in the yard, but he got too excited, threw the bat in the air, and it hit him right on the head. The parents gave this little one a Christmas ornament so he could hang it on the tree. He thought it was a ball and threw it to see if it would bounce, but found out it wasn't. We all know this typical children's game, which involves putting objects that match the silhouette into the box. But this was too boring for him, so he decided to do it the fastest way. Glitches in reality that prove we live in a simulation. A girl noticed that a piece of her nail had broken off when she found this. But then, when she checked her hands, she saw that they were all perfect. None of them were broken, and that blew her mind. Clearly it's painted exactly like her nails, but as you can see, none of them are broken. Where did that come from? A little girl played with a Christmas ornament and a stick while her mother recorded her. But then something happened that left them both speechless. With one of the hits she gave to the ornament, it suddenly disappeared. They looked for it, but it was nowhere to be found. It's as if the earth had swallowed it up. This is crazy. We can see a woman recording her kitten coming out of the carrier, but a little later many more cats come out behind him. It's impossible they all fit in that carrier. How many cats were there? 1 in a million coincidences. At normal speed, we can hardly see anything in this video, but if we play it in slow motion, we see something incredible. When he's opening the bottle of champagne, the cork flies out, bounces off the ceiling, and comes back to his hand. He was recording as his dog played. The animal grabs the hoop with its mouth, tosses it, and it lands on its tail. During the party, they started setting off fireworks, and this person decided to capture the moment with his phone, and it's a good thing he did because something happened that left him speechless. A lightning bolt strikes a firework and makes it explode. She made such a bad throw in bowling that even God felt sorry for her and decided to give this girl a second chance. This man was recording a video for his social media, complaining about the poor condition of the bridge in his town. And it really was in very bad condition because while they were showing the cracks, the bridge collapsed. Parents with quick reflexes who saved the day. This father was distracted looking at his phone while one of his children was playing with the escalator. Good thing the mother was paying attention because this could have ended very badly. A man was out paddling with his baby in a kayak when the movement of the water made the little one bounce and fall. Good thing he had incredible reflexes and was able to grab him in time. A young girl fell on the tracks right before the train arrived. And the father, without thinking for a second, jumped onto the tracks as well to protect his daughter until the train passed completely. Her sister tried to prank her by throwing the birthday cake in her face but missed badly. Fortunately, their father, standing behind, saved the cake. And here we're not just talking about human fathers but also animal fathers. It's incredible how this cat protects her son from a dog that was biting him. Tell us here in the comments if you like cats. The worst ways people have lost their lives. A 16-year-old boy named Rylan Salman was with his father in their backyard drinking and having a good time. But suddenly they got into an argument and he says his father became very violent and pushed him. Rylan had a cane in his hand and hit him until he ended his life. Then he hid the body in a wooden box that was in the yard. And he says he waited a week to call 911 so he could spend time with his mother and sister before he was arrested for life. Jennifer Lee Wolf, a 35-year-old woman, was driving home after shopping at the supermarket when a car forced her off the road and she ended up in a pond. The woman couldn't get out with all the water coming in, so she decided to call her husband to say goodbye. Her husband says the call was devastating and that he heard his wife die. 1 in a million coincidences? When I saw this, I thought it was edited because it's almost impossible. During a car race, one of the vehicles did a full flip in the air, but what's impressive is that it landed perfectly and was able to keep racing. This is the kind of video you have to watch in slow motion to understand. While this guy was talking, a friend of his threw a nugget and it landed perfectly in his mouth. No doubt his friend has impressive aim. A girl threw her top at Post Malone during a concert and look where it lands perfectly in the singer's hand. This is very rare to see, and this woman managed to record it. She saw that in her garden there was a doe with her babies and both of them were albino. This restaurant worker was making bread and one of the loaves fell to the floor. But instead of picking it up with his hand and taking it to the trash, he did this. What soccer player did we miss out on? The parents of these kids don't know whether to laugh or cry. His daughter was supposed to be dancing in this performance for which she had trained a lot. But however, she wasn't moving and the girl started making gestures like touching her belly. Later, her parents found out that she was hungry and that's why she wasn't dancing. That's normal. You can't function on an empty stomach. This boy rings his house's doorbell with his tongue since he can't use his arms because he's gotten stuck in a staircase like this. I still can't understand how he managed to get himself in that position. This boy is literally a genius. He's found a foolproof study method. He grabs all the letters from the page with his hands and brings them to his head. Then he turns the page and does the same thing again. He set up toy bowling pins for his daughter to practice. She comes closer, and even just centimeters away from the pins she throws and still misses. Photos you'll have to look at twice to understand. A man woke up and found this on the curtains in his room. He almost had a heart attack because he thought it was a giant moth, but it was actually an owl. What was an owl doing in his room? I couldn't tell what animal this was. It just looked like a furry ball with one eye. If you look closely, you'll see it's a dog, and the white part is its snout, not an eye. This photo's perspective achieves something remarkable. The boy appears to have a dog's body. Yes, my first impression was also to think that this was a man completely naked. But don't worry, he just has his friend's legs on top of his own. This looks like a man's chin, mouth, and nose, right? Well, no, you were wrong. It's the belly. These 3 girls are actually the same height, even if it doesn't seem so. These are the parents of the year. Their daughter had spent several days on a puzzle with over 500 pieces. Her father was recording as she placed the last pieces, and when she put in the final one, the father grabbed the puzzle and threw it on the floor. The son was recording the whole family in the car because they were going on a trip, and when he went to record the father who was driving, he realized that he was asleep. Good thing he woke him up quickly. In this house, his daughter is totally forbidden to close the doors because one day the girl brought a friend home and closed the door. And her father, instead of knocking for her to open, just cut the door down. Do you think he did the right thing? This happened in a museum. Some kids started playing with a work of art that had a tape so you couldn't go past, and after a while, obviously they broke it. And meanwhile, the mothers were just recording with their phones. 1,000,000 coincidences. A man was calmly skiing when something caught his attention, so he decided to stop. And it's a good thing he did because what he saw sticking out of the snow were the skis of another man who had been completely trapped in the snow for quite some time and couldn't get out. If the skier hadn't passed by right there to help him, he probably would have lost his life. What were the chances of this happening? Practically none. A runaway truck crosses multiple lanes on a major highway without hitting any vehicles. A man was recording his kayak trip, but his GoPro fell to the bottom of the water. But a beluga swam by, grabbed the camera from below and gave it back to the man. The most incredible thing of all is that something very similar happened to this girl but with her iPhone. She also dropped it to the bottom and the beluga also grabbed it and brought it to her. If you see this in the water, don't try to help. Run and call the police. Although it looks like someone drowning asking for help, it's not. It's actually something much more dangerous. In some areas of Indonesia, crocodiles have watched humans for years and have learned a deadly trick. They know that when someone seems to be in danger in the water, there's always someone willing to jump in to help. These predators are incredibly intelligent and patient. They mimic movements very similar to those of a drowning person to lure their victims into the water. When someone falls into the trap and jumps in hoping to help a person, that's when the crocodile's real plan comes into action. When they're close enough, they stop pretending and the person who went to the rescue becomes their next meal. If you ever see something like this in the water, don't approach or try to save it. Call authorities instead, since what seems like a life in danger could be a trap. These children's parents aren't sure whether to laugh or cry. This boy is play fighting with his dog when he throws a punch and the dog dodges it. But the dog wasn't satisfied with humiliating the boy. While the boy was on his knees, the dog took his hat and ran off with it. They wanted to play a prank on their little son at Christmas to see if he would get upset. One of the gifts was just a banana, and the parents wanted to see his reaction. Instead of getting upset, the boy did the opposite. He was happy to receive a banana as a gift. This girl's best friend is really strange. It's a lifeless cicada, and she literally takes it everywhere. She even takes it with her to the dentist. She swings it on the swing at the park. She also reads with it at the library and even takes it on a picnic. A girl was filming herself applying makeup. Her mother entered the room unnoticed and stood behind her to scare her. The worst ways people have lost their lives. Jim Trammell, 43 years old, went to a friend's house with his family to spend the whole day at the pool and having a barbecue. But one of the pool lights was broken and was emitting electric shocks. Trammell's little daughter was really excited to swim, and without thinking, she jumped into the pool. As soon as she touched the water, she started getting electrocuted. Seeing something was wrong with his daughter, the father also jumped in and was electrocuted. Trammell didn't make it, but he saved his daughter's life. Ruby Rubio, a high schooler from California. She earned excellent grades at school, so her mother rewarded her with an iPhone. She was unlucky. While on the street, she briefly checked her phone for the time and a thief snatched it. The man quickly got into a car to escape, but Ruby didn't want to lose her new iPhone, so she jumped into the trunk of the car. The girl grabbed the antenna, but when the car sped off, she was thrown off and killed by the impact. How old were you when you realized these things? Did you know that the yellow line in the Amazon logo is not just a smile? Actually, it's an arrow that goes from A to Z to symbolize that they have everything you need. And how old were you when you found out that the base of the stapler is used to store staples? Yes, that compartment we always overlook is more useful than you thought. Here's a fun fact about The Simpsons. Have you noticed that the M in Homer's hair and the G in his ear form the initials of Matt Groening, the creator of the series? A clever detail that was always visible. And how old were you when you discovered that the Bluetooth symbol is a combination of Viking runes representing the initials of King Harold Bluetooth? Did you know months starting on a Monday always have a Friday the 13th? It's a calendar trick you might not have noticed. These are the parents of the year. The father was so hooked on his phone that he wasn't paying attention to what his son was doing. Without him noticing, the little one took his drink, which you can probably guess what it is, and started trying to drink from it. Fortunately, the father realized before the boy drank. Continuing with parents who choose social media over their kids. This woman was recording a video to upload it and didn't realize that her little daughter was heading straight for the road. Good thing her son warned her, because all of this could have ended in a tragedy. The woman who did this doesn't have any common sense. She gives her daughter a gift in a tightly closed box. Looking at the package, what could it be? A tablet? A phone? Toys? No, the woman put a small cat inside without air holes, but fortunately the animal was unharmed.